If we have a look at Liverpool and Man City's head-to-head, especially last season, you will see that Liverpool, despite falling 5-0 to City at the beginning of last season, they came back and definitely got the better of them, especially in those very crucial Champions League games. Now, despite this, gentlemen, Stevie, you especially, even though you've said that this is Liverpool's best chance to win the league, they have definitely added to where they need to. Yep. You still don't have them winning the league. Why not?
Well, it's only 2 games, and I think...
But in your picks, you still chose City.
I did, yeah, because, listen, on paper, yes, Liverpool can win the Premier League title, but unfortunately, it's not one on paper, it's one on the field of play. And until we're maybe, 10 games into this season, then maybe we can turn around, or certainly I will turn around and say, right, am I going to take this extra step and have Liverpool favourites? Because right now, I don't care who they're playing against, I think they're going to win the game, so... Listen, we're only 2 games in. I said 10 games and I might change your mind. Could be more, could be less than that.
But like you said, right now, since it's so early on in the season, we can only look at the 2 teams on paper. And when you look at City on paper and Liverpool on paper, what's giving City the edge to you then? Why you gave them the edge to win it all?
The edge is the fact that they already have won the Premier League title. When you
That makes it harder to win again, though, doesn't it?
No, they've got the experience. You know, if Liverpool get themselves in a position, which they did under Brendan Rodgers, what did they do? Too much for them. So there's always that possibility that that can happen, that a team gets to smell the trophy, gets that close, but can't quite get it done. We know that City can get it done. I think that's the only difference between these 2 teams.
Maris, you've also backed City to win the title too.
Well, I think it's the depth. I just look at what Pep does with some of the players, like Fabian Delph, for argument's sake. You know, he's played at left back, he's played as a wing back, he's played in the middle of the park. Pep seems to be able to have the depth in squad, but he also is able to put players in and still perform at a very, very high level in different positions. I think that's a unique talent that he's got with his players. But going back to Liverpool, the reason why we're all very excited about the race this season is because it's going to be a lot closer. There's no 2 ways about that. And the way that Klopp has gone about his business, as we've said repeatedly, about Keita coming in, I don't think we're scratching the surface with what we're going to see from this kid. I just think he's a fantastic player. I know Stevie's not convinced just yet with Gomez and Van Dijk. I've liked what I've seen. I think that Van Dijk calms him down. And obviously the goalkeeper, I think yeah.
The reason Liverpool are going to be tight is because of the defence.
Yeah.
Because we know they can score goals. They've shown us, particularly last season, they can create chances and put the ball in the back of the net, but they couldn't stop it going in their own net. That looks a whole lot different this time around.
And it seems as though when Liverpool are going forward, everybody knows what Liverpool are going to do with that front 3, and it's a magnificent front 3, but they don't seem to have an answer for how they're going to stop them.
All right, Darky, I see you nodding your head over there. We just have this stat up here that we looked at yesterday, that Liverpool conceded the fewest goals since January 5th of all the Premier League teams, and that is also when a certain Virgil van Dijk made his debut for Liverpool. So do you think this strengthening of the defence is what made you give Liverpool the edge to win it this season instead of City?
Well, it's one of the reasons, and the fact that they've got a very good new goalkeeper as well. He didn't have too much to do at Crystal Palace the other night, Alisson, the Brazilian, but he just exuded an air of calm, and they looked good back there. The one thing I would worry about with Liverpool going forward is if Van Dijk picked up a long-term injury. I think that really could upset the apple cart. Whether they've quite got enough cover still at central defence, that is open to question. Lovren isn't fit yet, but there's a bit of a question mark against him as well. Gomez still learning the game really in the centre of defence as well. So that is a question mark. You look at the other contenders. I just wonder about Manchester City, 16 players away at the World Cup. Will there be some World Cup hangover that kicks in at a later point in the season? Already we've heard Pep Guardiola talking about the injury to Kevin De Bruyne maybe just being because his muscles were tired after the World Cup, and the injury might have had something to do with that. So I thought that was quite interesting.
What do you guys think? Do you think that City could suffer from a little bit of a World Cup hangover to some of their top players?
No, I don't. Not at all. I don't think Guardiola, with his experience, will allow that. And you get the sense that the players will not allow it either. Yeah, of course, it's a blow to lose.
Isn't it natural? Like, you can only do so much. Your body can only do so much.
No, because when you're in it together, you're in it together.
Aww.
It's just a fact. I mean, you pull together. Look, it's a big blow to City to lose De Bruyne. But as we saw last week, they didn't miss a beat. They didn't get out of first gear against Arsenal. They didn't have to. And then they just cruised through the game the other day. What was it, 6? I mean, they could have been whatever they wanted to pick in that game. So they've got so much ability on that field. I like what he's done defensively with the 3. I think it's much stronger. Laporte, Kompany and Stones, I really like that. They look solid, very, very solid.
Stevie, no weaknesses for City that you can see at the moment? I guess that now, apart from that injury to De Bruyne?
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Injury is going to be... After the World Cup, injuries would be the only thing I would be worried about if I'm Pep Guardiola. Because everybody... And every single one of us has been in the same position. When your body's had enough and it needs a break, it tells you. And it tells you by throwing you an injury. And the first one down is De Bruyne. He has to hope that he doesn't get 2 or 3 of them. They have a good, strong squad, yes. But when you start losing players like De Bruyne, then obviously your opponents feel stronger. And so they better be very, very careful as far as injuries are concerned.
With all the technology that's available now to the backroom staff and the manager, they can track the players. They know when they're going into the red zone or they've been in the red zone for a period of time. So it's up to the manager then and the backroom staff to just sit them down and say, look, you need to have a couple of weeks off. That's the way it's got to go. That's the way it is in the modern game.
Monday is where it all gets juicy. Manchester United facing Tottenham. Darky, we have to go to you ahead of this game because we haven't had you weigh in yet on the drama that has been brewing at Manchester with the relationship between Pogba and Mourinho and, of course, the loss to Brighton. What do you make of all of this? How do you foresee it ending?
Well, I couldn't believe the quote by Paul Pogba after the game at Brighton, where he said, our attitude was wrong. How was their attitude wrong at Brighton? They'd lost there last season. Anybody could have given the team talk, really, and said to the players, Brighton are going to contest every blade of grass out there. They're going to play with maximum intensity. Unless we match that intensity, we're not going to get anything from the game. How could the players have gone out there with the wrong attitude? But they did, and they got wiped out by Brighton again. So things are wrong at Manchester United at the moment. I think this game against Tottenham coming up on Monday, that's a massive, massive game now for the club and for Jose Mourinho.
Maris, we did this in our prediction. You said it's actually a pretty big game for Spurs.
Absolutely. It's look, Tottenham, if Pochettino's got it right with not bringing anybody in, he feels that he has got it right. And if he feels that he can push this team on, this is a game with Manchester United, as Ian quite rightly says, they're in turmoil. They should go and they should win this game. Do I think that they will do? I'm not too sure, because it's Tottenham. I just still don't believe quite in this Tottenham side. He's going to have his full strength, outfit out, apart from Son, who's away on international duty. So it's going to be a strong side that he's going to put out. This is a marker for Tottenham this season for me.
Stevie?
This has got Mourinho and Man United stealing a draw or maybe even a win out of it. Because Tottenham Hotspur, certainly when I think of Tottenham Hotspur, the only thing I think about is a team that almost reaches the summit, and then when they get close to it, something goes wrong. And when it comes to big games like this Manchester United game, they look good for spells, and then something goes wrong. And Mourinho, you know, is going to have everybody locked down solid, making sure they don't leave any holes. Forget attacking. He's going to lock things down. So as much as, yes, Manchester United are in turmoil, I don't trust Spurs when it comes to a big game. I just don't trust them.
Darky, before I get your predictions on this game, just going back to the Manchester United angle as well, how do you see this whole turmoil ending then? Do you see Jose Mourinho lasting this season?
Well, I don't want to predict that because anything can happen in football, but I can tell you that the bookmakers say it's now even money that Jose Mourinho will be gone by Christmas. That's what they're saying. But whether that's right or not, we don't know. What I think is fascinating about this game on Monday is Manchester United had a habit of winning these big games at home against their rivals last season. They won 4 of the 5 home games against their top 6 rivals. So what Stevie was saying is right. Can they go back to being that team again that gets that result? Or was what happened at Brighton sign of a much deeper malaise that they can't pull out of this time?
Thierry Henry is who we're going to be talking about right now. Let's have a look at his resume. I mean, it speaks for itself. He has literally won everything there is to win as a player, and now it seems like he's set to start his managerial career at Bordeaux, apparently. But there is a bit of a situation. So let's go to Julien. Julien, what can you tell us?
Well, Thierry, who's in the US at the moment, met the American investors who are in the process of buying Bordeaux. Apparently, the meeting went quite well. There was a lot of, in principle, he wants to take over the job, but there's still a lot of questions that he wanted answered, like, you know, about his staff, for example, about the money available for him for now and the end of the transfer window, not many days left, but still, and then maybe in January as well, what the objectives are, etc. So a lot of things to talk about with those new investors coming over and whose takeover of the club should be done by the end of September. So, you know, it's interesting to see how keen he is on that job. I think he really feels like this is a good one for him to start his career as a manager. It's also interesting to see that Bordeaux are interested in someone like him. You know, they gave a chance to Laurent Blanc to start his managerial career. That went well. They wanted Zinedine Zidane at some point as a manager before he even became a manager at Real Madrid as well. So they're the kind of club that used to do those kind of things. And now it should be a matter of hours, maybe a matter of days until Thierry gives his final answer and those new investors give the final answer. But I've got a feeling that it's very likely that he will become the new Bordeaux manager.
All right. Well, Stevie, we touched on this just a little bit yesterday, and you've made the transition from top player to top coach. How hard is it?
It is very difficult. I think that the difficult thing is the communicating with the players. You know, because as a player, fortunately, if you're a good player, you go out and you have to look after yourself, and you have ability, and you have a good reading of the game. But when you're a coach, you have to remember you're talking to a player who you have to believe has to know everything. You have to lead them by the hand. So you have to be very careful what you say to players, particularly if you don't gamble. If you tell a player to do something and it goes wrong, you better have an explanation if it does go wrong, because players will sniff a gamble. They will sniff if you don't know what you're talking about. And so I always felt that less was more when you're talking to players.
Do you think the fact that he is Thierry Henry, and of course everyone knows who he is and what he's accomplished, do you think that could help or hurt him in that sense?
It'll definitely help him to begin with. The fact that he's Thierry Henry, the fact that he's had the career he's had, everybody will automatically think he knows exactly what he's talking about. He knows the game inside out. As I said, coaching is completely different, and so that'll only get him so far. But it's really down to being careful what you say.
You were assistant to Stevie, to the great man, and then of course you became the top man in charge.
Yeah.
Of course, Thierry Henry has done that a bit with Roberto Martinez at Belgium. He did a bit of coaching at Arsenal. So how hard is it to make that transition from assistant now to the main man in charge?
It is very difficult. Look, when we work together, we work very, very closely together. But I come up with ideas, Stevie.
Still are.
Stevie would yay on it because he was the head coach. When you leave, as I did, to become a manager, the buck stops with you. And as Stevie quite rightly says, when Thierry Henry walks through that building, yes, he'll be admired, but it's what he does on the training ground. What sort of sessions does he put on? What is his relationship with the players? What is his relationship like with the key core players? And that's what you've got to work out very quickly.
Do you know what his biggest shock will be? He will be shocked that he will spend more time organising flights and dinners and training than he will actually coaching on the field.
So it's not all glitz and glamour.
It's about 70% rubbish and 30% on the field.
Welcome into Extra Time. The gang's still here. Stevie, Paul, Julien, and Ian Dark is with us. Darky, now we ended the show without getting your full prediction on if you think Manchester
We're all ready.
All right, well, Punya Mohanty, I'm saying his name this time. Remember, he wrote to us yesterday, and all of you thought you were experts on his name, saying it's Punya. It's Punya. Hope I said that right. He wants to know.
Same as the singer, Enya.
No, that's Enya.
Yeah, but Puenya.
That's Enya.
She was good.
There's no Puenya. She's brilliant.
You just had the P, Puenya. Puenya.
But that's still not her name.
Just ask.
Let's move on.
It doesn't even look.
Okay, so Puenya wants to know Gareth Bale or Neymar. Pretty simple question.
Or what?
Just in general, I guess, who'd you fancy? Who would you
Dancing.
rather in your team?
Dancing.
Dancing?
I think Neymar's
Better
going
at
to guess
dancing.
he's a better dancer than Bale.
Yeah,
No question.
he's got that samba blood.
Well, I don't think he'd get Bale on the dance floor, would he?
No, I doubt it.
No, he's not even stepping on the dance floor.
Something tells me that's not quite what Puenya was asking.
Oh, it's
But
not.
anyways,
I beg your pardon, I'm
Gareth
sorry.
Bale or Neymar. I guess on your team, if you had to choose one of them.
I'm going to say Neymar.
Oh.
Although I got to say, right now, I'm not a huge fan of that diving around. But let's be honest, when the guy's on,
Yeah, he's
the
on.
guy's
When he's
quite
on, he's
hot.
on. Yeah,
Yeah.
Maris?
I agree with Stephen. I mean, look, with all that rolling around, injured nonsense, we all hate it. We've got so much stick over it.
Rolling around.
That
They're rolling around.
That rolling around.
Look, I love Gareth Bale. He's a fantastic player. But on his day, the boy Mar, he's my boy.
Okay, so we've got 2 votes for Neymar so far. Darky, who are you choosing?
Yeah, I hated all the amateur dramatics. He looked like he was auditioning for an Oscar and failing at the World Cup. But I think Neymar probably.
Julia, what about you? Neymar or Gareth Bale?
I'm Team Neymar all along, every day.
Oh, wow, no
Wow.
love for Gareth Bale.
He's a PSG man.
was
He's
strong.
asking
Of course.
Julian for. He's a PSG man.
I have to ask Julia. He's here. Not really.
You should expect the answer then.
Okay, well, no love for Gareth Bale. There you have it, Puenya.
No, we got love for Gareth Bale, but we had
if
to
you had
answer
to
the
choose.
question.
Yeah.
Fair enough, fair enough. Let's move on now to Nick. Nick says, I just want to remind Stevie Nicol, oh, steady, that Klopp didn't buy Firmino, it was Rodgers.
Do you know what? That's the first time I've heard this since yesterday. Yeah, right. I was convinced. Somebody actually told me before we came on air that, are you sure? And I went, I'm telling you. I was convinced. But I was wrong.
Takes a big
Yeah,
man to
yeah,
admit.
but- exactly.
I mean, let's be honest.
But it
right?
was a Klopp-inspired move, which is what made you think of
Listen,
that.
it's not often I'm wrong.
So you're
was
wrong,
wrong
again.
You were wrong about Enya being Puenya. There you go. So 2 times that he's been wrong
Yes.
today. All right. So Alian Ahmad wants to know, what's your viewpoint on Messi not being included in UEFA's top 3 best player? He won the domestic double, which surely has to count. Guys?
It just,
Stump.
it just goes. Listen, what? This award. I don't know why they don't just make it the best player award.
So the top 3 are Salah, Modric, and Ronaldo.
Because-
Do you see Messi getting in ahead of any of
If
those?
I'm picking a team tomorrow, right?
He's number one.
I'm picking Messi first.
A lot of people are doing that, Stephen.
So because of who's in for it, Ronaldo's going to win it. I mean, listen, let's be honest. He was absolutely incredible in the Champions League, and he's the reason they won the Champions League. But as you said, Messi did the domestic double. So it just depends on what you think's more important. So make it simple. Just make it. Who do you think the best player in the world
just
is?
announce the one instead of
Just
messing
announce
around.
the one.
Yeah.
Darky, Julian, what do you guys think?
I'm going to say that Messi's not in that 3 because he didn't really shine at the World Cup, and that's the feature event of the year. So there's
It's because
your
of the
reason.
rubbish
My
around
pick-
him, though, Ian. He had rubbish around. He had nothing around him,
Salah.
didn't
Well,
he?
that's
How did
true.
Salah get in it
well,
then?
For whatever reason, but I think I'd go Luka Modric. Took Croatia to the World Cup final. He was the inspiration and the heartbeat of that Real
Fantastic
Madrid
player.
team.
But he ain't going
You
to
know what, Ian? You know what you said there? And this is why I said before, it depends on what the criteria is, right? So Ian's just said that Messi didn't shine at the World Cup. So Mohamed Salah's in it. But Liverpool didn't win the domestic title. He scored a lot of goals, but he didn't win nothing. He didn't do anything at the World Cup. He didn't even play in all the games.
Well,
So
I don't think that was his choice.
It is the complete unclear.
He scored in the 2 he
award.
did play in.
There you go.
Yeah, but they're already it.
That's the Salah effect. Let's go to Julia.
Yeah.
They're already knocked it.
Julia, what do you think then?
I'm with the boys about short lists. I just think announce who won it, and that's it. Why doing a short list of 3 or 5? There would always be someone missing anyway. Whether we do 3 names, and if Messi had been in it, someone else would have been missed out. And we would say, well, why he wasn't in it? And if you do a short list of 5, it's the same. Let's drop the short list and just announce the winner, and that's it.
I like that.
It's right though. I mean, Steve is right. Ronaldo's going to win it. We all know that. But you know, you can make a case out for. I mean, Modric was ridiculous at the World Cup. I mean, he wins the Champions League with Real Madrid. He goes to the World Cup. He absolutely lights out the best creator in the middle of the park of any team. But he's not going to get anywhere near it because it's Ronaldo.
Well, that's the Cristiano Ronaldo effect. Let's
There
move
it
on
is.
now to Kartik. Oh, this is an interesting question, and I want to know this as
Well,
well.
you're saying all the other ones are not interested?
No, but this is
Well, that's what it sounds
a
like.
different one, so to speak, then. So Kartik wants to know, why doesn't ESPN FC have any annual football tournament between their experts? I would love to see that, because I'm not an expert, so I could watch on the sidelines. I could cheerlead possibly. But you guys, it'd be nice to see Darky, Julia, you know, all kitted out and up against Stevie Nicol and Paul
I'd pay big
Mariner.
money to see those lads kitted out.
Yeah.
Do you guys think we should start that?
No.
Oh,
We
come
put-
on.
I think we need an ambulance on standby, wouldn't we?
We need more than one.
Hang on, Julian's still young.
Yeah, well, Jules looks fit as a butcher's
And,
dog.
and his country's a world champion, so you guys might
Oh,
be
not
scared.
again.
Oh, no, he wasn't playing, was he?
Sorry, can you say that again?
We
I didn't
said
hear what you said. Can you
Yeah.
say that again?
Yeah,
Can you say that
Here we
again?
go. Here we go.
But
But
static.
The line is bad. The line is bad. The line is bad. Didn't hear.
I mean, we could get Dan involved. He's only a small thing, but
Dan.
he could be well
You're
wrapped.
right.
So,
He can bring on the bucket and the sponge.
hang on, what does
Craig's
what does he
still got
mean
some
by
life
that
in it.
question? What does he mean? Like 5v5? What does he mean by
Well, I
that?
think we probably only have enough for like 5-a-sides, wouldn't we? I
Yeah,
don't
but
think
who picked the
can,
teams up?
can you still last 90 minutes?
Not 90, no.
I don't think anyone's trying to last 90 minutes.
90 seconds.
Stevie will be doing some big tackles. You'll be taking down people.
See,
You
the,
can't catch anybody. You've got to catch somebody to tackle
You know what?
the key in that
Only one.
tournament, the key is possession.
Aye, don't give the ball away.
You don't want to cross those ex-professional footballers,
No.
even in charity games.
No,
I found
you
that
don't.
out.
That's exactly why. Things get heated enough on the set as it is, so maybe in a football tournament, goodness knows what will happen. But we'll try work on it for you, Carter. Anyway, thank